Today I'm going to show the report section along with some weeding and inventory options in Koha. What you're looking at here is the Koha staff interface for the reports module. This is where you're going to come in and create reports. Again, you can either use the wizard, which would walk you through some steps, or any of your used, saved reports in the system. So this is where all of your reports will be gathered that are created in Koha. Now, during the implementation and migration process, we will be setting up reports that you use on a daily basis. That way, when you go live, all of those reports will be ready. You can add reports at any time, as well as ask Bywater Solutions to create a report for you, and that can be done at any time as well. So we work very closely with your consortium and our libraries to ensure that reports that you need are there at all times. The first report we're going to look over is your weeding reports. Now, I pulled up two examples here in the system so you can see what those two examples look like. The first one I have here is weeding with local use. So that means maybe traditionally it did not circulate outside of the building, but you want to see if anything was being used in-house, whether it was used for story time or if you calculate, a patron comes in, they take something off the shelf and essentially set it down, you can track that information. The next one we'll look at here is the never circulated items for weeding. So if I come in here and run that report, it's going to give me two options here. And again, this can be customized however you want. I'm going to select, let's say, anything that was acquired before July 1st, 2015, and for this one I'm looking at collection codes. Now you could use this for item types, which would essentially be like book or DVD or journals or anything in that nature that ties into a material. You could use also shelving locations, which would describe something where it lives, and you can also use them all three together. So if you wanted to narrow down by item type, shelving location, and collection codes, you can. This again is just one example. Once I run that report, that brings back a list of titles in my collection. In this case, I have a total of 39 that match my never circulated items for weeding, that tie right into the time frame of before July 1st, 2015 with no circulation. Now you'll notice over here I have hyperlinks, so if I click on that, I can open it in a new tab. I can view that information. I can also come back, and if I wanted to print this off, I can come in, I can either download it, or I can come over here, and then of course print that off as well. Select my printer and then print. So multiple ways to do that. So that is one way that you can essentially do run a weeding list without having to know SQL, and that's just one easy way to do it. The next report that I am going to show you is a report where we talk about circulation and tying that information into the Dewey Decimal System. So this one I'm going to show the list that totals the circulation of different Dewey sections in the system. So again, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hit run on that report, and this gives me a few different options. So I can select my dates, and again, I'm using a sandbox, so I'm going to go back about 6 months, and we're going to select that data. And then I'm going to limit it by a home branch. So in this case, rather than doing my whole consortium, I'm going to select just my one location. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to limit it by a collection, and I'm going to do fiction. So we're going to set it to the East branch, which is just one of my libraries, and then I'm going to select fiction, and we're going to look at that. Once I run that report, it's going to show me any of my counts for that particular section. So this is my fiction section, and then of course I had one hit in my Dewey 820. So what this is doing is this is just showing me a total count of numbers of circulation for each Dewey section that matches either F or periodicals for a particular location. And again, this can be completely customized. So if you want it to break down, fiction books versus fiction audiobooks, you can absolutely do that as well. Again, this is just one example. The last thing I am going to pull up is inventory. So inventory in your Koha system is driven through your tools module. So if we come into tools and we look at inventory, this is going to allow us to essentially come in and run a shelf list report. And so what this allows me to do is I can come in and say, I want to look at all of the material in a particular, let's say, Dewey range. So if we come down to item, location, and filters, I can come in and I can select a particular location. So if I, say I want to look at my East Branch location, I can do that. I can also say I want to look at the shelving location is adult, and then I can come over here and I can also tie in my range. So if I wanted to look at, let's say, 6415 to 641.6, I can come over and select that data. Once I scroll down to the bottom, I'll be able to submit that, and then that will bring back a match in the system. Now, again, if you wanted to print this off to go to the shelves, you could come in, print it off, and it would give you a clean list. It will show you anything that is marked missing or damaged or lost or withdrawn. It will also give you that last seen date. The last seen date will also tell you the last time it was touched or checked out in the system. With the inventory controls, you could also check these boxes. So if you are doing a true inventory of the stacks, you can check them off as you find them, and then at the bottom you can mark seen and quit, which would close it out and update the inventory date, or you can mark seen and continue, and that would take you on to the next page of the inventory module.